And we be live. Welcome everyone to the round table where we have all three of us.
Hello,
How are you, ladies?
hello.
Isn't it more like a triangle?
Yeah,
Yeah,
true. Kinda.
the
Very
triangle,
true point.
the coach's triangle table. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, welcome
The
everyone.
trifecta.
Welcome.
There were
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, I was
Seen it
going to
here
say,
now live.
welcome to YouTube. Welcome to our Facebook pages. Welcome to our Instagram pages. Welcome to Twitch. And eventually these will get uploaded to iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. And we are so glad you are here on this Monday night. So, with no further ado, we are having a coaches round slash triangle table tonight. So, welcome, Sly.
Hi.
how are we all? So anyone have any burning topics that they end up and want to start off with tonight? As far as questions or things that have happened from a coach's perspective? Y'all are quiet.
We are.
So if anyone has any questions from YouTube or Instagram as you are joining us, make sure you put them in the comments and you will get 3 perspectives tonight on it. So you'll have all of us answering your questions. But yeah. So prior to coming on, we were discussing, we'll just start with the mental health and the mindset. We were discussing ways to kind of calm the body down. What keeps you motivated or stay motivated, each of you, in regards of being calm, right? Doing the parasympathetic work. What keeps you motivated to continue that?
Well, my mental health.
And okay, let me also rephrase. What do you do to keep motivated to do that? So you do it for mental health, but what do you do?
I was talking about this with group last week. I brought it in, and one of the things that they really took on hold was those touch points, right? They loved the concept, and we talked about the touch points. I really started using those so more, especially with busy season starting up. Even in the mornings, I not just getting the morning light in my eyes or trying to go walk out for grounding. I've been doing a morning walk around my block, nothing too crazy, but that walk around my block is 2,000 steps right there. So that's been good. Keeping up with my nutrition, um, just those breathing exercises. I got Bitten does a class with, it's called the Relaxator, and it looks like a pacifier, but it has like different levels of breathing of in and out and slowness. I don't really have the concept of that whole thing down yet, but I do have them and I've been working and trying them. But all those different things and just really um, working through them all and using them all. I think I did use everything last week, all of it.
The stress must have been high then if you used all of it.
I did. It was. And, at the end of the day, I, able to finish work, able to keep up with my classes and get all the other things done, um, without, jumping off the deep end and unmedicated. So those are big, huge things for me, especially since, I started listening to the bipolar podcast. And, it's been so long since I've had like personal symptoms, high personal symptoms, right? That I forgot like what that could lead into. So that's been a nice refresher of like, of two things. One, this does work, right?
Yeah.
And two, I even seen Lauren out there saying, she kind of got a little bit laxy on her mental health stuff, and she had some uh, symptoms start coming back. So just another thing of like, okay, well, this is working, but just like some people that are on medications for mental health and stuff where they're like, oh, I feel good, I'm better, I don't have to do this as much. It was a real kind of eye opener of like, yeah, but probably you do.
Yeah. Well, and so real quick, since I had them close by here, these are the touch points for anyone that doesn't know what they are. They end up and have an electrical pulse current to them that alternates. And using these different techniques, it's really great to end up and break that cycle, because we can anchor our body. Like you said, you get the sunrise, you get, all the things, right? But there's things to go beyond just the basics to help get us out of this loop. And that's the biggest thing, is people are like, but I'm doing all the things, right? And a lot of times they just want to pull the lever of the nutrition, but you really got to look deeper and look into some of this other work.
Absolutely. Sometimes there is not enough fat out there. Okay. I'm just going to point that out. Or you can't literally consume enough fat. You still should do the fat, but like those touch points, I'm going to say they're set a different level of like grounding for me or bringing me back out and stuff. So I really, and I wouldn't have thought about them or came across them without doing EMDR therapy. So it's that bilateral stimulate. Oh, this is oversimplifying what they do, really, but it's easy to understand. But it's just a bilateral stimulation of the brain to process you out of that fight, flight, or freeze mode. And I adore them.
They are beneficial. And like I said, I had them right at my fingertips because I keep them close by. And there's times where I actually, on the one, I had to put the band on because I'll end up and stick them like in my pockets, or if I have socks on, or even my leggings, like tucking them in, the pant leg of my leggings and wearing them that way instead of, like watches on my wrists. And either way ends up and works.
Yeah, I don't have the watch bands anymore. What I just bought a new set. That's how much I love them. I used my other ones to full capacity and then ended up handing them off to somebody else that could get some benefit out of them. So I'd had mine for 5 years. So I bought a new set this year, and I ended up just getting like the sweat armbands that you can just stick them in there too. And I put them in my pockets and different things like that too. But it's a really nice tool.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And how about you, Coach Sherri? What are you utilizing?
Definitely the light, right? That's my big thing. As you can see, I'm sitting here with my blue blocking glasses on, the yellow lens. And right now, I have been under fluorescent lighting during the day. And so that is something, this is a non-negotiable for me to keep me, grounded and keep my body, mind anchored. Making sure at least I see the sunset if I can't see the sunrise in the morning. And just grounding, right? Barefoot on the ground. If I can't do that, then I'm sitting here grounded right now through this earthing that I have it plugged in. And so I'm literally grounding right now. So things like that. I also have been listening to frequency at night. So that keeps me kind of, I notice I when I don't turn it on, I want it on. And so that is something that I've been utilizing as well. I need to get those wristband touch point things.
Do you notice that depending on different sound frequencies that you may end up and get deeper sleep?
Yes, I have. In fact, so I have, I typed out a whole list of the different frequencies that my sound machine has. And so, depending on when I go to bed and where I'm at, if I, the what is it, 528? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah.
I'm on the spot.
432 and higher
yep.
is, but yeah, it could be the
Yeah.
528 is the
520 8 seems to be my go-to for the most. But yeah, anything from the 420, 428 and higher is 430. Yeah. See, I don't have my little cheat sheet in front of me. I need to go get it. But yeah, so I do use that. And I'm telling you, the sound machine I got, I think I want to say it was like $60. I've had it now since I think April or May,
Wow.
and I even travel with it. Like that thing goes in my suitcase and it goes like you know. So that's been huge in my keeping myself grounded in my mind and so forth.
That's so funny that you end up and you bring that up because as we were getting, kind of talking through getting things ready to leave this weekend, that was one of the things my husband's like, what fan are we going to end up and take? Because
Ah.
he sleeps with a fan on. So it's just funny that we have those things that are part of our nightly routine that we travel with.
Mhm.
And, I have my blue blockers that I end up and I travel with because I have the 3-in-1s from Viva Rays, and we had Rudy on, discussing it. But I travel with those because then I only have to travel with one frame instead of, 3 different ones. But yeah, it does. It truly ends up and makes a difference. I was in a group session the other day, and we were discussing like I'm sitting on a PMF mat, and just the aspect of the electrical currency, right? And also it's got crystals and all of that thing. But when we utilize some of this, and I'm not saying that anyone listening has to go out and buy products, right? You can end
Right.
up in, like you said, go outside. You can do breath work. You can, there's so many things that you can end up and do free that people just aren't utilizing as part
Mhm.
of their routine. I told someone the other night, I'm like, take a magnesium bath, right? An Epsom salt bath. If you don't have a bathtub, put your feet in some Epsom salt. Anything along those lines, right, is going to end up in help. But
Well,
yeah,
and I'm even sitting here with some rose quartz stones as well. So, I mean, there's a number of things that I utilize that, a number of years ago I would have poo pooed at, right? I would have said it was woo.
And I did an Epsom salt bath earlier today.
yeah.
So
It's not only great for detox. I know you were kind of under the weather a little bit, but it's not only good for, getting the junk out, but it's also good on balancing the magnesium and balancing those electrolytes and that whole side of it, because the other side of electrolytes is people don't focus on enough hydration right now. I mean, yeah, we're a little bit cooler this week, but we're also in the season where you should have been, boosting your electrolytes and hydration. Many don't focus on that. But what other what other things do you have in mind, ladies, before I search for more comments?
Well, I know that one of the things that, Coach Sly talks about is, the halt and
mm,
which is huge. And I think it's worth repeating, Sly.
yeah, that's a good one. We did so again something I can still take into the treatment centers. I took all of them in there that we had in there, but the whole, stop, think, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? Um, am I overwhelmed? There was the smart and the reset and rest and all the different ones, and taking a look at all the different acronyms and different ways that can go through there. I think there was one smart too. They which one connects with you most, the halt is something that I learned early on, and I just kind of stuck with it. And I have it on my desk at work. I have it on my refrigerator here. Just stop and take a breath, take a pause, see if there's a reason why these things are going on. And there usually is, right? There's usually a reason. My favorite thing, my favorite thing right now is when in doubt, nap it out. You know, and that's easy for anybody to do, right? Because sometimes they don't know what they're feeling or know what they're trying to do. And I just feel sometimes that little cat nap can do a world of good. Wake up with a fresh mind. When we're resting, that repair's going on. Get back up, and then maybe we have a better, clearer picture of what's really happening with us and within us.
Yeah, and there is actually an acronym that is rest, calm and rest. Because a lot of times I'll use the rest with like my nighttime or emotional eating people. When they, sorry, my computer's like notifying me currently, but I'll end up and use the rest for nighttime emotional eating because it makes you focus deeper, right? Regulate the nervous system, evaluate, is it true hunger or is it a habit? Soothing, looking at the non-comfort food, right? How can you soothe your body and regulate your body? And then delay or time, right? Putting time between that. Because a lot of times it's not that we are necessarily hungry, like you said, it's just the body needs that rest. We're constantly go, go, go. And then once we end up and we start to have kind of, a little bit of calm in the evening, our mind wants to end up and go to food. And so that's filling that void with the food.
I like stop.
Yeah.
Stop, take a breath, observe, and proceed. Um, and I mean, I use them. I use these acronyms. Um, None of us, in our little triangle, is above any of this. But we utilize the tools that we have. Do I need to stop? Do I need to take some breathing? Some deep breathing and inhale, exhale, hold it, exhale, the box breathing, the different things. And that's one of the things that in the BNC community, Coach Sly runs a mental health meeting, and I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll say it again because the first time I attended her meeting, I thought, well, I don't have any addictions. Like I don't take, drugs or alcohol. And about 10 minutes into the meeting, I was like, oh. I know I do have food addiction, and I do have, and it was interesting how much I learn and still learn off of Coach Sly as well. And then we also have breathwork meeting, meditation, and so forth. And these are free, you guys.
Yeah, people, I mean, like nobody wants to have that addict label put on them, right? There's some stigma behind it. Even still today, it can be in. But here's the thing: it's kind of like addiction is. I don't want to say just, but it is. It's a mental health issue, right? Addiction is a mental health issue. And just like any other mental health situation you got going on, identifying it, then you have a way to start looking at it and making it better, healing. Looking at some of the responsibility that you have for that healing. And addiction doesn't have to just come in the form of taking drugs and drinking alcohol. It can come in many forms. It can come in food. It can come in shopping. It can come in gambling, sex, screens, anything that we can be obsessive and compulsive about, anything that we can use to numb ourselves out to not have feelings, right? So it's all these things that can come up when it comes to addiction, and people just don't think about it as that way until you do, when you can answer those questions and you're like, oh, wait a minute. And so, there's been some try to change of some language here recently in the recovery community of like getting rid of that word addict and saying I'm in recovery, which is okay, which is good. I get rid of the stigma, but I like that word for myself because it's a constant reminder of like where I've came from and that I'm not above it. But also that way people can, it's not, lack of better words for it here, it's not sugarcoating it either, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people can see what can happen. If I'm an addict and this is what I am today, this is what you can be too. So and plus I get a special reason to go work on myself in all the ways, not just, the food or the circadian rhythm. I do different, I do work a 12-step program. Here recently, I joined a women's group, and we're doing a wrap. It's a wellness ready action plan, I think is what it's called. And it was actually developed from a lady and her daughter for her mental health, because it was way back when really all they did was stick you in mental health institutions and medicated you at that time. And she didn't want to go back to there because they weren't very nice places back then. Yeah. But it's a great program. And you can do, just like you can work the 12 steps on anything, you can do anything on a wrap. And this program is like based on just like you make it, you put your action plan together, and when you need it, you can just hand it to somebody. And you can say who's not supposed to be in there and who's supposed to be in there. So I guess that would be another tool that I've been using here recently, that I am excited to go through with these women.
So speaking of 12 steps, let's just point out the fact that we have an author among us right now. So,
Co-author. It's a co-author.
But still, I mean,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah, that was a big dream of mine, of like finding the nutrition and finding the 12-step program and putting them together. And actually, my co-author, it was a client of mine, and she withheld some information from me. uh, she's doesn't li- she is in she doesn't live in the United States, but like she has worked in the field of the ketogenic lifestyle, and she used to work for people that did like the loom stuff. She's a scientist. Well, she withheld that part from me, first of all. Yeah, she's like a PhD scientist. She's so smart. And she had actually wrote some of the nutrition part, like a weight loss kind of program, but it was all in German. And when we were coming to the end after about a year and a half of working with each other, and her learning about the addiction piece, right? That's the piece that she was missing, was the addiction piece. And she's like, well, what are you going to do next? And I said, well, I have this dream. And she's like, well, let's do this. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you really? And it's taken some time and a lot of hard work, a lot of early mornings, so we can get our times to go together. And yeah, it finally hit Kindle on Friday for 12-step keto. So
Wow.
so excited. And I do believe that it is the way to go for helping healing the brain while you're trying to tackle some of these addictions. Maybe even just, in some senses, doing the nutrition first before you hit the deep stuff. That way, when you're hitting the deeper stuff and you're hitting those things, you can really think about it, and you're not still so much in the brain fog. So excited about that.
So if you were to take a new person that doesn't have a clue where to start, right? They're just out there. How would how would you, and we'll each go through it, how would you take a person through it? Would you end up and put the nutrition first then, is what I'm hearing?
Yeah, yeah, I would. Mainly because, being around the addiction field for as long as I have been, and not that what people are doing isn't working for some, but it's such a low percentage of what really gets it the first time, or even the second time, or fourth time. And when you're in it, like, if you're detoxing, and I know you guys don't have that experience, but if you've detoxed from carbs or sugar, you guys might be able to relate, because it can be pretty close sometimes. Those withdrawal symptoms, going through a 30-day program, I mean, what are you going to retain if you're just coming off the heavy mind altering drugs and going through withdrawal? Maybe 30% after each class, maybe 10% by the time you leave there. And that's not taking away from all the hard work that our addiction counselors do, because they do. And that's why I think they accept people back again and again and again until they get it, is because, it's something that takes a while. Some of the long-term recovery places, or treatment centers, I think they have some better results with it, because they give the time for people to get their mind right so they can obtain what is given to them. But yes, I tell my guys to, one, if I would do some one-on-one coaching, we might do a little bit more than what I tell my guys. But first, get rid of the sugary drinks, and let's get some whole foods in there, even if that's starting with one meal at a time until we have all 3 meals or all 2 meals that they're eating. But definitely start with getting rid of the sugary drinks.
How about you, Sherri?
How about me? What?
if,
I'm sitting here like this with Sly. Oh yeah, cool. What was the question?
if you had a if you had a new coaching client,
Uh-huh.
what would be the first step that you end up and you take them through? Sly saying she would end up and start with the nutrition side.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I always have my clients come up with 3 things that they want to achieve, and those are usually, that's the key, is where, because it'll tell you where they're at on what they want to work on, and then I kind of back it down a little bit to make it achievable. But we usually start with those 3 things, those 3 items that they want to achieve. I mean, something simple as, I had a client one time where she said, "Well, I know you're going to tell me to stop drinking." And I'm like, "Well, how much are you drinking?" And, I have, you know, 2 to 3 glasses of wine or whatever it is at night with my husband. And I said, "Great. So what would be manageable?" And we talked that through she was able to tell me what she could manage without it being too overwhelming. And I think she about fell off her chair when I said, "I'm not going to tell you to stop. We're going to slow down, but going cold turkey is not on anything, I don't think works, right?"
I mean, if you don't have an emergency
Right.
situation, somebody maybe have a surgery coming up or something like
Mhm.
that, then probably not. And most of my clients are mental health clients, is what I take on. I mean, like, I will help anybody that really wants it or needs it, but I really like to stick in that field of helping people with mental health, and either help making their medications work better, or being able to get them ready for a professional to help them come off their medications. So, I mean, like, if you do the everything at once, you could be gambling with what
Yeah.
they're going to do.
What about
Well,
you, Coach Becky?
Well, I was gonna say, and that's where I would take the opposite approach, right? We got to work on sleep and circadian rhythm,
Yeah.
because if they're not sleeping or they're up late snacking, or which, yes, that ends up and it goes into the nutrition, but many times people are also have a higher tendency, or from what I see with clients, if they start with just the food, then it ends up and turns into a binge, right? Because they are maybe tired at 2, 3 in the afternoon, and so they want that pick me up. They end up and they want, where if you work on the sleep and you start to regulate some of those hormones, and get that regulated, then you can end up and prioritize protein and start to work with the rest of the macros, right? And adjust that out. I mean, sure, the minerals and the grounding and all of that can come eventually, but really to sleep like it's a job, right? Making sure that you are being consistent with a bedtime routine, getting up at the same time, just is going to overall help you to feel better, so that you can make those better choices with the food, and not rely on food as a crutch for your energy or whatever.
And really, it does take all of it.
It does. They're
It
all
does.
intertwined one way or another, but
They are.
Yeah. Sleep is definitely important. I actually, when I was coming off my medications, and glad I did do it myself. Don't do it yourself. That's not the way to do that, especially if you're on mental health medications. But like in my mindset, I can still remember like if I would have done it myself, I would have came off my sleep meds first, and that was wrong. But only because in my mind, I was like, well, these are doing the least amount for me, in my opinion. They may have put me to sleep, or sometimes they weren't even putting me to sleep, but they definitely didn't keep me asleep long term. But the practitioner that I worked with, she goes, nuh-uh. She goes, they're probably doing more than what you think they're doing, and we're about to disrupt a bunch of other things. So that's the last thing to go.
a true point. All
Well,
right.
and ask, what does your wind down routine look like? I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that we've been on BNC meetings, and all of a sudden Coach Lyle will be like, bedtime, bye, gone, and she's boom. I mean, she's off the meeting. But explain. I mean, it is funny, but you have a routine.
I do, and I do try to keep to it the best of I can. When we were doing the spring routine, I can't remember what the challenge was called. I'll tell you what, that phone time though was one of the hardest things for you. You get caught up in it, and you're like, okay, well, I guess I won't be going to sleep for an hour from now.
That was not the point of an hour prior to bed, is to
I
push
know,
bedtime off. But
but
yeah,
you were
the
trying
better
to,
than
but
yesterday
even just
challenge.
trying to remember to get off in time for my early bedtime was like sometimes hard. And it's just like, oh, oops.
Well, and we have community members that their sleep schedule is different, than even
Hmm.
yours. And so for them, right, the bedtime is early, where that's
Yeah.
a normal, after work type day for many. And so when, we're talking about being off the phone for an hour, I mean, it would be like 5, 6 o'clock for us. And yeah, it was a challenge, but that's why it's a challenge too. That's why we do these challenges, because it does make you more aware of what your habits that you've gotten into.
I will bring it up. If you look, one of my favorite, oops, about that. One of my favorite things to do is look at my Facebook memories. My Facebook is just since I've been clean and in recovery. And even 4 years ago, there's my little checklist
Mm,
of our daily stuff that we were doing.
yep.
And over the years, it's nice to have those little things that we do together. Hydration was on there too. Those things that we do together to get us in routine. When I was at a woman's defense class, and one of the things that he said there was practice makes permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that we practice these things, the more permanent they come. So it's not so much of like having to sit and check off boxes all the times. We just start doing them naturally. And then if we do get out of routine, we've got Coach Becky to get us back on spot with one of the challenges.
Yeah, we tend to end up and do them quite a bit throughout the year. I mean, they'll be a little bit different from time to time. Like last winter, we did meat, fat, ferments. Yes, a lot of the basic, foundational stuff still incorporated during that challenge too, but we'll end up and we'll change it. And it is good because a lot of times, like you said, we get so stuck in the habits that we're in right now that it takes a little bit. Or, we also had BNC members that the challenge was overwhelming to them. And so I said, it's a target, right? Do the best that you can. And whether you start on day one, or maybe, some of them started as we were a month in, start with that challenge as a target, right? By the end of the challenge, are you hitting a lot of those, aspects of it? But keep track, right? We had the PDF tracker where they could print it off. They could keep track of what they were doing. And I said, compare your day 1 to your day 90. How many of them have you been able to add in? How many of them have you been able to get consistent with? How much have they increased, right? Because we had hydration, and there were a couple of people that were like, I only drink like 2 glasses of water a day. And I'm like, really? And so as they kind of work towards that goal, it gave them that, again, that target to work towards. And like you said, we're not ever going to end up and be perfect. But if we can end up and be consistent with a lot of these and get us out of the gray area, because I know I'm guilty just as much as anyone of, I start to kind of, get in that gray area of things maybe aren't quite, where they should be. And it's not that I think everyone needs to track or everyone needs to, log their food or anything like that, but it does make a difference to kind of put you back on track. Just to kind of know where you're at and be honest with yourself, right? Because a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, I do that.
And by the way, she's talking to me. I can feel it. I can feel her looking at me.
Why do you have this guilty conscience?
Right?
Exactly.
Because she had posted this weekend that she lost, how much did you lose?
1.3.
1.3. And I go, great. I gained 2.4 or 2.2 or something. And she said, get back to basics. And I'm like, I'm already there. I'm back to basics again. Right. It was like, and I knew when I seen that I had gained 2.4 pounds, I was like, yeah, it's time to rein her back in and see what's causing that. I think I figured it out already, believe it or not. I have oversalted myself, speaking of Sly, but I have we've been outside. It's been 100 degrees, sweating, and so I have been trying to make sure I get my electrolytes in. And I think I've kind of went overboard and my body's hanging on to I think that's it, because as I'm starting to look at what I'm doing, it's like, yeah, that seems to be the factor in it all, which but again, it was a good reminder, right? I mean, when she said that to me, I'm like, I roll, like, I know, I'm back there.
Don't tell me.
Oh,
You don't know my life.
Anyone that ends up and comes to me and is like, they start with that negativity. It's like, okay, are you journaling? Oh, I don't have time to journal. Yeah, you do. Right. I threw that at her a couple weeks ago. I'm like, you're in the car. You have a phone, record it. You can end up and, do voice memo. for a journal. It doesn't have to, necessarily be writing. It's just getting that out. Are you seeing the morning sunrise? Are you getting that protein breakfast within, an hour of waking up? It's like, start the checklist, right? And if you are, then that's where we need to end up and look, a little bit deeper, or maybe there's areas that we need to end up and tweak because it's a different season or things have changed. Maybe we need to add a little bit more parasympathetic work to get sleep, back on point, or the glucose back on point, because again, cortisol is a main driver.
Sure.
So
right. It's learning that, what is it that's supporting my melatonin and cortisol balance, right? And I'm having to go back and figure out. I know what's driving a lot of it too is the stress that I'm under. A lot of it, most of it self-induced, right? But it's still happening, right? And so I'm still trying to work through that, because it's real funny because when I have to do something Monday through Thursday, I don't sleep good. As soon as Thursday night hits, I am passed out, dead as a log. I don't wake up until, I think it was Friday. I woke up at 8:30. Like my body just gave out. But during the rest of the week, it's like I did last night. I woke up and I thought, well, it's got to be close to the alarm going off. And I looked and it was 12:44. And I'm like, okay, back to sleep. And then I woke up again and it was 1:23. And then I woke up again and it was 2:49. And then I woke up and it was like, and I remember thinking last night, it's like, are you kidding me? We're back to this again. Like, what is going on? And it's like, but I recognize the fact that I used to do this as well. So, and when I traveled for a living, um, I was in hotel rooms all the time. And so that was how I slept. I didn't sleep that good in hotel rooms. It was that constant checking the clock, making sure I have to get up. I have to be, at that particular office for that client at a certain time. And I got to make sure that, did I eat breakfast? And I got to do this, and I got to do that. And it became like this constant, and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm still doing it. And so now it's figuring out, right, how to turn that piece off. I know Slide's going, I'm going to talk to you later.
Give you some touch points and use them before bed.
Right?
have you made your list for tomorrow?
Yes, I did. I forgot my lunch today. I was like, are you flipping kidding me? After everything about worrying about making sure I had everything planned out and, I forget my lunch. Now, here's the key to that. This is funny. I didn't go hungry because I carry with me carnivore crisps, what else did I have? I said carnivore
Pickles.
crisp. Huh?
You had the pickles.
Pickles. I had some pickles. Yep, I still had pickles, and then I had I had a beef. Come on,
Chomp.
the beef chomp. I had a chomp.
Mm.
So I really had a decent amount of protein. I was pretty pleased with, but that's where I've always said I don't go anywhere. I mean, my purse has stuff in it, my car has like I'm not going to be caught. And it wasn't like, oh my goodness, now I'm going to have to go somewhere to get something to eat that because I forgot my lunch, I had it covered. So, I don't know if that's a good tip for people or what, but
Well, I think always having a secondary plan, it's a case of if this, then that, right? Mm-hmm. If you end up in, go somewhere to eat and, maybe they are out of something, right? Then I'll have that. Or, always having that, because the decision fatigue and or the spontaneous aspect of, well, I'll just end up and have that, and that's where people will start to fall off the wagon too, is because they make that quick, response. They're like, oh, I don't want to end up and take extra time to look or whatever. And a lot of places, will have menus online, or like you said, if you have food with you, then it's not an issue. It's not a case of having the snacks, right? It's not a case of, oh, I might need a snack, or I might need, like it was for me, 6-7 years ago, right? I would always end up and have like a bar or, something, right, junk food wise with me. And it was because I was on this blood sugar roller coaster, and I would get, to the point where if I didn't have something with me, then I'd be stopping and getting, candy bar or whatever. The downfall with that was going back, slide to your addict mentality, or mindset, is looking and reflecting on it now. I was definitely an addict, right? I would go to the grocery store. I'd get, okay, so the grocery store for me is Walmart, but anyway, I would go to Walmart and get groceries and, other things that we needed. I would pick up a pop and I'd pick up a candy bar, and there's a gas station in between. I would stop and throw away the evidence so my family didn't know what I was doing. That is truly an addict.
For sure.
And it's not that case where I end up and I need something with me. It's a case, like you said, if I'm without a meal or whatever, but I don't even really have food with me anymore.
I do, just out of habit, and I'm glad it was in my purse, right? Now, could I went? Yeah, you know what? I could have went to McDonald's and got burger patties. I could have done that, but I had it covered. So, and it wasn't that big of a deal, and I'm glad. But that was that planning ahead. That was, who knows how long I've been carrying that around in my purse. But hey, it was there. So, and I like Sly. You had told a story one time about having to have, you would go buy certain foods to have it on hand just in case, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I still have chomps at my desk. I have pickles in my refrigerator at work. I have a couple of chopsticks in my glove compartment. Just in case, the hunger, or I think hunger is setting in, or maybe I forget my lunch, or, what if, I don't know, I didn't make enough. Maybe I misjudged my hunger for the day or whatever, and I need a little bit more. All those things. Or I go to events, and they don't have anything for me to eat there, or anything that I should be eating there. I have an out. You can usually find something, though, like you said. Brats without a bun, whatever it can be. I went to a picnic the other day, and they had burger patties and hot dogs, and mustard. So it wasn't like I have to go without anywhere. I can go and make those decisions. Um, it's I guess, like, where you're at and what level of commitment do you have, and are you willing to make those decisions, right? And I'm gonna put another cheat in here that I have been telling people to use, and I have been telling people to use their AI. Um, I have, especially when it comes to decision fatigue, maybe meals, maybe they're tired of bacon and eggs for breakfast, maybe they're overwhelmed and they just don't know what to do, or they don't want to go to the grocery store and they have stuff but they don't know what to make. Use your phone. Google has automatic AI in it now. Use your phone, put your whatever you have in there, what you're trying to accomplish in there, and it can come up something with you, especially if you're in those moments of decision fatigue. I know that there's movies that tell us not to use the AI, that it'll take over the world. But I think at this point, especially with how everybody's so busy these times, and a lot of people ask me, they want me to come up with menus for them, right? Or recipes. I'm not going to do that, folks. I'm not going to do that. There's plenty of people out there with recipe books and menus and what to eat 24 hours a day. I like to concentrate on the things that I can help you with on the other side of that. Like maybe we do need to look at your macros, but I'm not going to tell you what to eat with those macros. And maybe give you some guidelines, but use your AI and it can take some of that out of there. I used it at work the other day, and I'm going to tell you, it saved my life and my mental health that day. I had lost a document that I took 4 hours putting together, and I could not find it. And I took an hour looking for the document, and I couldn't find it. I took all the information I had in these other 33 documents that I had to use to put that one document together, put it all in there, and it gave it my parameters and it spit it out. And I was like, nice. Sometimes I wonder if it's going to put us out of work, but then I realize that it can't put us out of work because it's not human. You can't get that human connection that you get. You can't get that community tribal thing, but it is something that you can use if you have decision fatigue or if you're in the moment and you can't get out of it. I had somebody use it to walk them out of a binge the other week, and she gave it a name. I can't remember her name. I call mine Charlie.
Nothing wrong with naming them.
No.
But yeah, it's definitely, there's always options, right? People that feel like they're backed into a corner and they're stuck, there is always an option to move forward and make the best choice. Sure, it may be a good, better, best choice, but there's always an option of a choice.
Well, and I think that's the best thing is for those of you watching and those of you watching on replay, you have three coaches right here. We all come from a different angle, a different background, and we want to walk with you, right? We want to help you. We don't want you to have to do this alone. We have priced our coaching affordable to help you.
Yeah. And we also offer meetings in the BNC. So, if maybe a one-on-one isn't yours, jump into one of the meetings.
Absolutely. And you have access to all three of us in the meetings.
Yeah. I mean, even the meeting last Tuesday, it was a small meeting, right? And it didn't know where it was going. But me and one of the other community members, we just, got ourselves out of the headspace that we were in. And by the time we left there, we were both in a better way, shape or mind of like ending the night on a good note and not having, all the burdens of the day that came around and all that stuff there. We were able to leave on a light note, and it wasn't expected. It wasn't like it was planned or anything like that, but that's the magic of having these communities and being able to just pop on here and do those things is like, there's going to be somebody over here that can relate or at least talk to your sounding board. And maybe we don't fix your problem. Maybe I'm not the person to fix it because I have to refer you to somebody else. But I guarantee after we get done with the conversation, at least you have a better, lighter feeling about the whole day in general, and you don't feel as alone.
Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing is we end up, when we wrap this up tonight, is we may not be your right person, right? We have to end up and know, are we going to end up in Jive? There's a lot of people out there, but that's the beauty is we've all created those colleagues and interlocked space, right? If I know if someone comes to me with mental health, I'm not necessarily going to end up and be the one, right? I will refer, like you said, refer them on. We've built that network. And so we are a multiple facet way to support a person, because we have so many different, colleagues and coaches. So Wonderful. Any final words, ladies?
Well, I just love our little round table / triangle.
Trifecta.
Try, yeah. So just so everyone knows, we do this once a month, and we just love it when Sly joins us because again, it gives a whole nother perspective, and we hope you picked up some good tips and tricks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. It helps the algorithms. Please share the our podcast. Somebody you think that can benefit from it. So, anything else, ladies?
As I get ready to end it, I just want to remind everyone we will not be live next week. Next Monday is Labor Day, so we will see you September 8th, and hope you have a safe holiday weekend. And we will be in the BNC community between now and then, but yeah, we will not be a active live. So